Imagine turning what most people throw away into the part of your garden that makes people stop and smile. In this video, you'll find over 14 simple, beautiful, and budget-friendly ideas made from recycled scraps, perfect for small patios, narrow yards, or even the tiniest green corner. Each one is a seed of inspiration, waiting for your hands to make it real. Timestamps are included. Use them to jump to what sparks your imagination. And if something moves you, I'd love to hear it in the comments. These visuals are just that, ideas. You don't need to copy them exactly. Take what fits, twist it your way, and build something that feels like you. Don't wait for perfect. Just begin with what's around you. I'm not a brand. Just a real person with a real family sharing what we love. Your like, your comment, your subscribe, it means more than numbers. It keeps this dream going. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for seeing us. One, DIY recycled bottle fence edging for small yards. Some gardens begin with seeds. Others begin with what we once threw away. Here in the soft hush of a backyard morning, something quietly beautiful takes shape, bottle by bottle, color by color. In the first garden, the edges bloom not with stone or brick, but with soda bottles, painted by hand, their necks buried in earth, their colors popping against green grass and soft gravel. They're shaped like tulips, arranged in playful rhythm around marigolds, basil, and mint. Each one carries a name, scrawled in chalk marker, a reminder that even plastic can speak if we let it. There's something almost childlike in the joy they bring. It's cheerful, it's imperfect, and it works. If you have a fence, some soil, and a few afternoons to spare, this, too, is something you can make your own. Use bright colors. Involve your kids. Let your bottles curve like waves or march like soldiers. There are no rules, only rhythm. And then, a shift in tone, a quieter palette. The second space holds glass. Brown and green bottles, aligned in quiet rows, neck down in rich, dark soil. They border raised beds of mint and white daisies, like sentinels watching over the blooms. Here, sunlight dances on glass, turning something once discarded into design. There's no paint, no bright colors, only form, function, and the honesty of glass in light. If your style leans subtle, this may be your path. Collect bottles slowly. Clean them well. Place them close. Use wire or wooden guides to hold them firm, especially if your soil shifts with the seasons. The result is strong, simple, and grounded. No plastic, no noise, just harmony. And finally, the third garden. A path of gravel framed with bottles, painted in soft pastels, dusty blue, sunflower yellow, mint green, rose pink. Not bright, but soothing. Not perfect, but peaceful. Lavender spills across both sides. Its scent blends with sun-warmed soil and dry leaves. Each step feels like a gentle pause, like the world forgot how to rush. This border isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It invites you to walk slower, to notice things. The bees, the way paint chips with time, the joy of a path built not with money, but with memory. These ideas, each one born from bottles and backyard dreams, remind us that beauty doesn't always come in boxes from a store. Sometimes, it hides in your recycling bin. Sometimes, in the hands of someone willing to see a second chance in something small. So if you have old bottles and a little patch of earth, try it. There's no need to copy this exactly. Paint them your way. Arrange them as your space allows. Let your hands tell the story, not just your screen. Because maybe you're not just edging a garden. Maybe you're edging back into yourself. Slowly, creatively, with things that were once forgotten, now reborn. Two, Upcycled Tin Can Planters. Some gardens begin with soil. Others begin with a shelf of saved cans, a brush of paint, and a quiet hope to grow something. In the softest corner of a sunlit yard, a pyramid rises, not made of bricks, but of time, care, and old tin. Each can is the same in origin but different in what it holds now. Lush herbs, oregano, dill, lemon balm, spill over like untamed green fountains. The structure stands firm, built with reclaimed wood, set on gravel. But what makes it beautiful isn't the order, it's the intention. Here, nothing is wasted. Not the rust on the metal, not the curve of the wood, and certainly not the passion behind hands that said, "Maybe I can grow something here." Now travel with me, just a little farther, to a city balcony kissed by golden hour, where an ordinary brick wall becomes a gallery of color and life. Recycled tin cans hang in cheerful rows, each one painted by hand, each one unique. Sunflowers, daisies, bold blues, sunflower yellows, and soft pinks. They cradle chamomile, parsley, chives, and stories. It's not a large space, but it doesn't need to be. One chair, a small table, and enough light for dreams to root. Sometimes, what people call limited space, tools, time, can be the exact reason something meaningful gets made. And lastly, a quieter scene. A wooden fence, weathered with age, now lined with pastel tin cans. Sky blue, mint green, lavender. Each one hangs on a gentle string, holding herbs that sway softly in the breeze. No decoration here screams for attention. Instead, it whispers, "Look what we can make from what's left behind." There's thyme, basil, parsley, not perfectly arranged, but alive and real. That's what these gardens are about. They aren't magazine perfect, they're heart perfect. So here's a little encouragement. Don't wait until everything is ideal. Start with what you have. A tin can, a seed, a spark. Paint it, hang it, grow something, even if it's small, even if it's only yours. Because in that small space, with those small hands, you may just find something greater than a garden. You may find peace, presence, purpose. And isn't that what growing is all about? Three, Teacup bird feeders. Sometimes, beauty doesn't bloom in a flower, but in the pause between wing beats. In the heart of an herb garden, where thyme spreads low, mint grows wild, and sage lifts its silver leaves, rests a teacup. Pastel pink, hand-painted, surrounded by soft stones and quiet snails. Inside, a mixture of seed and story, and just above, a robin, small and bright, pauses to taste. There's something sacred about it. Not because the cup is valuable, but because someone once said, "This is enough to make something beautiful." A little higher, along a rustic wooden fence, the story widens. A parade of mismatched teacups, each one different, yet each offering the same gift, welcome. Birds gather here, not for the design, but for the invitation. They flutter, perch, sing, and in their songs, a reminder. We are not the only ones who need a gentle space to land. These cups aren't perfect. Some are chipped. Some have seen many years. But now they serve again, not on a table, but in the open air. And just beyond, in a wild patch of daisies and tall grass, stands a single teacup atop a garden pole. It leans slightly from the wind, golden rims catching soft light. A finch visits, then flies, and everything feels still for a moment, timeless. You don't need a big backyard for this. You don't even need matching china. What you need is willingness. A little glue, a little seed, and a heart that says yes to repurposing. Because every cup, every flower, every bird in these scenes is a whisper that beauty doesn't have to be bought. It can be made with your hands, from the quiet corners of your cupboard, from yesterday's dishes, from a wish to turn the forgotten into something living. So hang your cups, fill them with kindness, and let your garden speak, not only in blooms, but in song. Four, vertical crate shelves. Sometimes, all it takes is a wall, a forgotten fence, and a few wooden crates once used to carry fruit, now ready to carry something else, life. In the first scene, a sage green wall becomes more than a backdrop. Crates are hung not with precision, but with care. Some stand upright, some on their sides, like chapters in a gentle book. Inside, a tangle of ivy, a quiet succulent, a jar of dried beans labeled with twine. Even a macrame pot swings softly from one corner, catching the afternoon light like a wind chime made of leaves. There's no rush here. Every shelf is different, imperfect, and yet complete. It's not about the symmetry, it's about the soul. Elsewhere, a backyard corner takes on a different rhythm. Here, the crates are stacked, like steps for something to climb, not a ladder, but an invitation. Terracotta pots wait to be filled. Seed packets lean gently against rough wood. Gardening tools rest in between, still dusty from use. The ground is scattered with gravel and shadow, the kind that makes a place feel real. This isn't a staged moment. This is where hands have worked, where dirt has settled into lines, where growth is expected, not performed. And finally, we return to the fence. Weathered, honest. Crates again become shelves, but this time kissed by color, powder blue, faded rose, and softwood grain. Inside them, watering cans shine in the morning sun, and basil leans just slightly over the edge, as if listening. Vines climb lazily along the fence line, unaware they've added the final brushstroke to a living painting. This is more than decor. This is storytelling in 3 dimensions. And the beauty? You don't need much to begin. A few crates, a bit of rope or nails, some soil, some light, and a willingness to see old things differently. Let your wall become more than a barrier. Let it grow. Let it breathe. Let it hold not just plants, but pieces of your creativity, displayed where sun and shadow meet. Because in the quiet frame of a wooden box, even the smallest plant can feel like a masterpiece. Five, picture frame plant displays. A picture frame was once made to capture memories. A frozen second, a distant smile. But what if it didn't hold a photo? What if it held life? On a brick wall kissed by moss, an old gilded frame returns to purpose. No glass, no photograph, just air plants, silver and soft, bursting from moss like stars in a quiet galaxy. Ferns tumble gently from the corners, brushing against red stone like fingers on parchment. And when the light hits just right, it feels less like a wall and more like a portal. Elsewhere, high above the city, someone has reimagined their balcony. A privacy screen becomes a vertical gallery of green. Pastel picture frames, one pink, one turquoise, one weather-worn, host little pots of kalanchoe, trailing ivy, and quiet succulents. They hang like curated art, but breathe, sway, grow. Beneath them sits a bench, a warm drink. A book may be left open. This is not just gardening. It's serenity made visible. And then, there is the most subtle of all. A rustic wooden frame backed with wire, hung against a bright white fence. Each tiny pot tucked behind the mesh holds mint, thyme, oregano, herbs not just to admire but to use. It looks as if the plants are floating, like nature has been framed mid-motion. Even the bees seem to admire the idea, hovering nearby with calm determination. None of this requires fancy tools. Just a frame, an idea, and the willingness to see a garden where others see only decoration. You don't need acres. You need inches. You don't need experience. You need imagination. So look at the wall in front of you, the one you thought was only for privacy or structure, and ask it, what story could we grow here together? Because sometimes the most powerful frames don't capture what has been. They invite what could be. Six, Cutlery Windchimes. Sometimes, the soul of a garden is not found in the flowers or the fences, but in the quiet, melodic whispers that float through the air. Here, old spoons, forks, and knives, once forgotten in a dusty drawer, find new life as delicate wind chimes. Each piece, slightly tarnished, bent by time or heat, now hangs freely on twine and driftwood. Their gentle clinks and occasional song are born not from perfection, but from imperfection, wounds turned into wonder. This idea isn't just about upcycling, it's about storytelling. Each curve in a bent spoon holds a memory. Each engraved fork, a chapter. As the wind brushes through your tiny patio or dances along your backyard fence, These sounds become your garden's secret voice, soft, calming, present. You don't need a big yard. You don't need expensive tools. Just a little time, a bit of wire, and the courage to see beauty where others see waste. In the background, tomatoes ripen in their box, lavender leans into the breeze, and sunlight glints off silver. This is not a showpiece from a magazine. It's a moment from a real home, made by real hands, lived in with real heart. So if you've ever thought your garden felt too small or too plain, perhaps what it needs is a song. Let your trash sing. Seven, painted rock cacti. Some gardens grow from seeds, others from stories painted on stone. In a quiet corner of a tiny yard, sunlight dances across a sandy bed of painted rocks. At first glance, you may believe these are cacti, plump, green, and flowering under the sun. But a closer look reveals a whimsical truth. These are river stones, hand-painted with care, each stroke a tribute to the desert's resilience and charm. There's something serene about these DIY cactus stones. They never wilt. They ask for no water. And yet, they bring a burst of life, texture, and color into a small outdoor space, especially where real plants might not survive. Framed by colorful bricks, this tiny cactus garden becomes a vibrant focal point, especially delightful for families with children or anyone who loves adding a playful twist to their landscape. If your garden space is even smaller, consider placing these painted succulents in terracotta pots. Add a few miniature blooms or sprinkle fine gravel to complete the illusion. On a shelf, on a step, or in a neglected patio corner. Suddenly, art meets nature, and the ordinary becomes extraordinary. What makes this idea truly special is its simplicity. Smooth stones, acrylic paint, and your imagination. That's all. Let your brush wander. Let the colors flow. And as you do, you may find that in making something small, you're actually creating something infinite. A feeling, a joy, a memory. No fancy tools, no perfect technique. Just the quiet beauty of a handmade garden moment. Real, warm, and deeply human. Eight, old ladder plant stand. In the golden hush of a late afternoon, where sunbeams soften the edges of time and the hum of bees is a lullaby for the garden, something unexpectedly beautiful stands quietly in the corner of a small patio. An old ladder, its purpose long retired from the reach of ceilings or rooftops, now tells a different story. Each wooden rung, weathered and softened by years, cradles clusters of terracotta pots, bursting with blooms and life. Scarlet geraniums lean forward like cheerful storytellers, while pink and coral blossoms sway gently, whispering to one another with every breeze. This is not just gardening. This is poetry told in petals. By simply repurposing a discarded step ladder, you've built a vertical sanctuary that brings texture, height, and heart to even the tiniest outdoor nook. It's the kind of DIY project that doesn't just organize, it transforms. It allows your plants to rise, to be seen, and to dance in the light rather than sit low in the shade. There's a mug resting on the bottom step, faded with use and memory. Perhaps it held tea this morning. Perhaps it will again tomorrow. These small, intentional details, the ones that feel as if they've always belonged, are what give a garden its soul. If you're wondering whether you could do this too, the answer is yes, completely. A ladder, a few pots, and a bit of time are all it takes. No need for perfection. In fact, the charm lives in the imperfect, the chipped paint, the tilt of the frame, the little ivy spilling down like a secret it can't keep. It's in scenes like this that the spirit of DIY really breathes. Not as a chore, but as a gentle reclaiming of beauty from the forgotten corners of utility. So next time you walk past something destined for the curb, an old stool, a crate, or a worn-out ladder, imagine instead what it might become when met with a bit of care and the quiet magic of plants. Because in small spaces, creativity grows tallest. And in gardens like this one, where the practical becomes poetic, even a ladder can lead to something truly blooming. Nine, terracotta candle holders. As the day melts into dusk and the breeze carries whispers of lavender and warm earth, there's a kind of magic that settles quietly over a garden lit by hand. Imagine this: old terracotta pots, once forgotten under shelves or buried beneath garden tools, now casting gentle golden light like fireflies held in clay. Along the edge of a winding gravel path, they stand with quiet dignity. Some remain simple, others painted lovingly with flowers, vines, or delicate patterns that tell a story of human touch. The flicker of candle flames within them dances upon the petals of nearby blooms and glimmers over smooth stones underfoot. No plastic, no electricity, just flame, clay, and intention. These are more than just candle holders. They're a gentle reclaiming of time-worn materials, and a reminder that beauty often begins with what we nearly discard. Try turning mini pots upside down and nesting tea lights atop them for instant charm. Or stack smaller clay pots into whimsical towers, adding battery candles inside for a safer, windproof glow. Hanging versions, suspended from hooks along a garden fence, cast soft halos on wood grain and frame your floral borders with a rustic elegance that feels like a page from an old cottage fairytale. This idea thrives in tiny corners. Even the smallest patio or narrow balcony wall can welcome a few pot lanterns, each one offering a flicker of warmth and intimacy. And when twilight deepens, they don't just light your garden, they soften the world. So go ahead, rescue those old terracotta pots. Paint them if your spirit calls for color. Leave them bare if you favor their natural quiet. Let your garden glow not just with plants, but with stories. With pieces of your creativity left burning like gentle stars in the dusk. And as the night falls softly over your little sanctuary, you'll see what once was trash is now treasure, gently illuminating your corner of the world. PVC or dowel garden poles. In the hush of a gentle morning, when the breeze carries only the faint rustle of thyme leaves and the occasional flutter of wings, a teacup becomes more than porcelain. It becomes a welcome mat for songbirds. Nestled among herbs and mint, A single lilac teacup sits like a secret treasure, its surface speckled with sunflower seeds and tiny pebbles. A robin perches delicately on the rim, as if pausing for tea, while thyme and sage wrap the moment in a living green frame. You don't need a sprawling garden to create this kind of charm. Just one teacup, a saucer, a touch of creativity, and a spot in your heart for life's smaller guests. Elsewhere, a fence becomes a stage. One by one, mismatched antique teacups line up in a row like a porcelain parade, each filled with seed blends tailored to the tastes of the fluttering guests. Sparrows gather, chickadees flit between sips, and your fence, once bare, is now alive with motion and melody. Behind the birds, rosemary thrives and ivy climbs, adding texture and scent to this storybook scene. And in a patch of tall grass, a vintage cup stands elevated like a tiny monument. Set atop a slim garden pole, it captures the sunlight and holds out a gift to the air. A finch lands, dips its beak into the feast, then vanishes like a whispered thought. Tip from the garden keeper's heart: to recreate this, seek out old teacups from thrift shops or forgotten corners of the kitchen. Use waterproof adhesive to secure the cup to a saucer and the saucer to a pole or shelf. Birdseed can be switched out depending on the season or species. In this DIY, you're not just recycling, you're storytelling. With every chipped rim and fading floral decal, you're inviting nature to sit with you for a while. (11) Hanging juice bottle drip irrigators. Here, in this peaceful corner of a tiny garden, something magical is happening. Look closely. Those humble plastic juice bottles hanging from the wooden fence are not trash, they're water bearers. Cleverly inverted, suspended by nothing more than hooks and twine, each bottle slowly nourishes the herbs below. Mint, parsley, and thyme drink in the moisture, thriving gently in their terracotta homes. The midday sun glimmers through the water, catching droplets and turning them into jewels. Condensation forms inside the bottles, like tiny clouds waiting to burst. There's no rush here, only a quiet, steady rhythm. Drop by drop, life flows. This is what DIY means at its finest. Not perfection, but intention. A solution rooted in kindness to the earth, and in love for the small things we grow. With a few tools, a bit of creativity, and the patience to experiment, anyone can bring this scene to life in their own backyard or balcony. It's not just about saving water, it's about reclaiming value in what's often thrown away. These bottles, once empty, are now filled with purpose. They whisper to us, you don't need much to create something beautiful. Just an open mind, a willing heart, and a little time. So if your garden is small or your space limited, let that be your canvas. Let your hands bring shape to ideas like this, functional, gentle, and wonderfully achievable. This is slow gardening, resourceful living, and quiet joy. And it might just be the most beautiful kind. (12) Bottle cap wallflowers. In a world increasingly paved with concrete and cluttered with excess, a whisper of wildness still stirs gently in the smallest of yards, and sometimes, beauty blooms from the most unlikely things. Here in this humble garden, you'll discover a chorus of cheerful colors not born from seeds, but from soda bottle caps, water lids, and forgotten metal tops. What once lay discarded now stands proudly as a playful bouquet. Flowers sculpted from trash, turned to treasure with just a bit of glue, imagination, and heart. In the first image, these charming blossoms sway on thin stakes above a sea of golden marigolds. Each petal is a bottle cap, faded or gleaming, plain or branded, arranged with care into perfect, circular harmony. They line a gravel border with a rhythm that mimics nature, but speak in the language of craft. There's something about their upright stance, side by side with real blooms, that feels both cheeky and deeply touching. They don't pretend to be real. Instead, they celebrate a spirit of renewal, a nod to joy found in simplicity. Then, we meet a quiet wooden fence that has become a storybook of pastel dreams. Here, flower sculptures burst from the planks, lavender, blush pink, sky blue. Their petals are painted lids and textured metal, each one stamped and curled, forming delicate expressions on a rustic canvas. Ivy creeps below, nature embracing craft, and in this marriage of old and new, you can feel the magic of a garden becoming a gallery. Lastly, a playful explosion of color leaps from another wooden fence. Sunflowers shaped from yellow bottle lids, red and blue daisies blooming with symmetry and charm. Plastic spoons, lids, and caps combine into a whimsical tribute to resourcefulness. These wall flowers never wilt, never thirst, and yet they bring just as much life. Their bold colors draw the eye, while the planters below spill over with mint and chives, blending utility and art in one poetic patch of wall. And that's what makes this idea so quietly revolutionary. It's not just decoration. It's expression. It's recycling with a soul. You don't need a lush yard or expensive materials. You only need a few caps, some wire or twine, a little paint, and an afternoon steeped in sunlight and intention. So if you find yourself holding onto a few old bottle caps or rummaging through a drawer of bits and bobs, pause before you throw them away. Because in a tiny garden or a forgotten fence corner, those fragments might just bloom into something that brightens your everyday. Let your fingers follow your imagination. Let your garden reflect not just nature, but your story. (13) Chalkboard plant signs. There is something gentle, almost musical, about a garden that introduces itself. In a quiet corner where the earth is soft and full of promise, miniature signs rise like whispers, each hand-painted with chalk, declaring proudly, mint, basil, carrot, tomato. They are not just labels. They are invitations, gentle guides, personal notes from the soil to the sun. Here, popsicle sticks, scrap wood, or even old tin signs find new breath in the form of DIY chalkboard plant markers. The beauty lies not only in their practicality, but in the poetry they bring to the patch. They make space feel curated, intentional, personal. Perhaps you found a broken picture frame or a wooden crate on the curb last spring. Don't toss it. Cut it, paint it, chalk it, then press it into your garden soil and let it speak the names of what you grow. And if your balcony is your only earth, hang them gently from herb pots. Mint curling joyfully toward the morning breeze, rosemary standing tall like an old soul. What's magical is how this small addition gives rhythm and clarity to even the tiniest green space. It teaches. It delights. It helps guests and children alike to wander through your patch and say, "Ah, so this is oregano." Smudges from yesterday's rain don't ruin it. They add charm. A new day is simply a new chance to rewrite the garden's song. Let your garden tell stories, not only through its growth, but in the tender, human marks we leave behind. (14) Glass jar herb lanterns. In the quiet hush of early evening, as the last gold glimmers of sunlight kiss the earth, there is a kind of magic that stirs among the plants. And sometimes, that magic lives in the simplest of things, like an old jar, a sprig of mint, and a tiny flickering light. Let's talk about mason jars, not just for pickles and preserves anymore. In these photos, they've been reborn as glowing garden lanterns, each one carrying the soul of a story, repurposed and radiant. The first setting rests on a humble wooden table. Here, the jars are wrapped in soft jute twine, resting gently on slices of wood that look as if they've just been cut from the heart of a fallen tree. Inside, strands of fairy lights dance behind sprigs of basil and mint, sending their fresh scent into the dusk air. Wildflowers in old glass bottles stand beside them, simple companions. This is more than decor. It's mood, it's warmth, it's a gathering of the senses. As we move to the second image, we follow a trail. Along a gravel path, twine-bound jars glow from within, casting golden halos onto purple petals scattered by the breeze. Each step is illuminated not with brightness, but with softness. Some jars cradle dried lavender, others flicker with candles, tiny flames of peace guiding you deeper into the garden. It's intimate, like a secret whispered to the moon. Then, look upward, toward the third scene. Hanging from a pergola beam are jars suspended like captured fireflies. Inside, herbs spill out with casual grace. Rosemary, thyme, sage. Their silhouettes are etched in candlelight, dancing gently in the breeze. The hooks are simple, the twine rough. Yet the effect? Completely poetic. These aren't store-bought centerpieces. They're love notes to the garden, handcrafted from remnants of everyday life. What's powerful about this idea isn't the budget or the ease, though both are true. It's the emotional rhythm it brings to small spaces. You don't need acres to feel surrounded by beauty. You just need presence. A jar, a herb, a spark. Tips for creating your own garden jar lanterns? Try solar lights if electricity is scarce. Wrap your jars in found twine or scrap yarn. Add dried florals in winter, fresh herbs in spring. Hang them, line them, gather them in groups. Let the jars become your evening storytellers. Because ultimately, DIY is not about decoration, it's about declaration. A quiet message to the world, this space matters. I grew it. I lit it. I loved it. And that, my friend, is a light no wind can ever blow out. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content. You're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.